Welcome, everyone. Today we're journeying to a place where history isn't just in books. It's woven into the very fabric of daily life. We're heading to Vib Nais, a small village in northern Thailand, home to Hmong families whose stories of resilience are as vibrant and intricate as the embroidery on their traditional clothing. Imagine a place nestled among mist-covered mountains, where the air is crisp and the rhythm of life is set by the seasons. This is Vib Nais. But beneath this tranquil surface lies a history of immense courage and upheaval. The Hmong people here are not just villagers. They're the living descendants of a proud and independent people who, for generations, have navigated the complex currents of Southeast Asian history. To understand their resilience, we must look back. The Hmong people, originally from southern China, migrated south over centuries, seeking autonomy and land to cultivate. Their journey was one of constant adaptation. During the mid-20th century, many Hmong in neighboring Laos became embroiled in the secret war, allied with the United States. They fought bravely in the dense jungles, their knowledge of the terrain making them formidable allies. But when the war ended and their allies withdrew, they faced brutal persecution. Thousands were forced to flee for their lives, embarking on a perilous journey across the Mekong River into Thailand. They left behind everything they knew, their homes, their farms, their ancestors' graves. The river for many was a final, desperate line between life and death. Those who made it across found themselves in refugee camps, one of the largest being right here, at Vib Nais. What you see as a peaceful village today was once a sprawling, crowded camp, a city of bamboo huts holding tens of thousands of souls. It was a place of uncertainty, a limbo between a lost past and an unknown future. Life in the camp was a daily struggle for survival, marked by scarcity and the deep emotional scars of war and loss. Yet it was in this very place that the Hmong spirit of resilience truly shone. They didn't just wait for aid. They organized. They established schools for their children, started small businesses, and most importantly, they held on to their culture. The oral traditions of storytelling, the intricate needlework of the paj nyob or flower cloth, and the sound of the keej, a traditional bamboo instrument, echoed through the camp. These weren't just pastimes, they were acts of defiance, a declaration that their identity would not be erased. The story of Mai, an elder in the village, is a powerful testament to this spirit. She was just a teenager when her family fled Laos. She remembers the fear, the hunger, and the heartache. She told me we had nothing but the clothes on our backs and the memories in our hearts. But my mother always said, as long as we have our hands and our stories, we are still Hmong. In the camp, Mai learned to stitch from her mother. Her needle and thread telling the story of their journey, the mountains they crossed, the river they swam, the new life they were trying to build. Each stitch in the paj Teb is a word, each pattern a sentence. These textiles became more than just beautiful crafts. They were story cloths, visual records of their history for a generation that was at risk of forgetting. They depicted ancient legends, scenes of village life, and the harrowing experiences of war and escape. It was a way to process trauma and to pass on their legacy to their children. After the camps eventually closed, some families, like Mai's, were granted permission to stay and build a new life here on the very land that had once been their refuge. Others resettled in countries across the globe, from the United States to France and Australia, creating a global Hmong diaspora. But for those who remained in Vib Nais, the challenge was to transform a place of temporary shelter into a permanent home. They turned their survival skills into agricultural expertise, cultivating the terraced hillsides with rice and corn, just as their ancestors had done. The bamboo huts were slowly replaced by more permanent wooden and concrete homes. The community that had been forged in the crucible of the refugee camp became the foundation of a new, thriving village. Today, when you walk through Vib Nais, you see this legacy everywhere. You see the older women, their hands still expertly guiding a needle through cloth, their faces a map of the history they've lived. You see their children and grandchildren, many of whom have pursued higher education and careers, returning to the village with new ideas, but with a deep respect for their heritage. They've embraced new opportunities while fiercely protecting their traditions. You might see a young man scrolling on a smartphone while sitting next to his grandfather who is meticulously crafting a part for a keej. It's a beautiful synthesis of old and new. They understand that to move forward, you must never forget where you came from. This blending of worlds is key to their continued resilience. They participate in the modern Thai economy, with many families earning income from agriculture and tourism, welcoming visitors like us to share their culture. But they do it on their own terms. When you buy a piece of their beautiful embroidery, you're not just buying a souvenir. You're holding a piece of living history, a story of survival, courage, and hope, stitched into every fiber. The resilience of the Hmong families in Vib Nais is not just about surviving hardship. It's about their ability to adapt, to innovate, and to find strength in their community and culture. Look closely at this footage. You can see the bustling marketplace that became the camp's economic heart. People sold vegetables they managed to grow in small plots, traditional textiles, and handmade goods. It was a testament to their entrepreneurial spirit, a way to reclaim a piece of their dignity and self-sufficiency. Artisans continued their craft, with women meticulously stitching paj nyob, or flower cloth, story cloths that depicted their history, their harrowing escape, and their dreams for the future. These weren't just blankets. They were chronicles, letters to a world that didn't yet know their story. Children, the heart of any community, found ways to be children. You can see them here, playing games with makeshift toys, laughing, and running through the camp's narrow lanes. Schools were established, often run by volunteers and educated refugees themselves. In these simple, crowded classrooms, a new generation learned to read and write, holding on to the promise of a future their parents fought so hard to give them. They were learning not just academics, but the enduring Hmong values of respect for elders, the importance of family, and the power of their cultural identity. Culture was the glue that held everyone together. Traditional ceremonies, though adapted to the camp's limitations, continued. The sounds of the keej, the traditional Hmong mouth organ, would echo through the camp, carrying stories of ancestors and ancient folklore. New Year celebrations, the most important event in the Hmong calendar, were a time of immense joy and community bonding. It was a powerful declaration that even when displaced, their spirit and their heritage could not be broken. This period was also a time of profound emotional struggle. The trauma of war and escape was a heavy burden. Families were separated, loved ones were lost, and the grief was immense. Yet, they supported each other. Neighbors became family. The shared experience created an unbreakable bond. Every family in Vib Nais has a story of loss, but they also have a story of support, of a helping hand extended in a time of need, of a community that rallied to protect its most vulnerable. For the young people growing up in the camp, Vib Nais was the only world they knew. Their parents would tell stories of the lush mountains of Laos, of a life of freedom and farming, a life that felt like a distant myth. These stories, passed down from one generation to the next, were a vital link to their roots, a reminder of who they were and where they came from. Life in Vib Nais was a paradox. It was a place of immense hardship, with overcrowded bamboo huts, limited food, and the constant ache of homesickness. But it was also a place of incredible community strength. Within those fences, culture wasn't just preserved, it was actively lived. Elders passed down oral histories, the intricate stories of their ancestors, ensuring the next generation wouldn't forget who they were. Women meticulously stitched paj nyob, or story cloths, their needles telling the harrowing tales of war, escape, and their dreams for peace. They were chronicles of visual language for a people whose written language was often suppressed. Children's laughter filled the dusty lanes, a testament to the unyielding human spirit. Schools were established, markets buzzed with activity, and new families were formed, all under the shadow of uncertainty. This was the Hmong spirit in action, creating a community, a sense of home, even in the most temporary of settings. Then came the next great migration, resettlement. For many Hmong families in Vib Nais, the dream was America, the land of their allies. But this journey was not a simple flight. It involved years of waiting, endless paperwork, and heart-wrenching interviews. Families were often separated, with some members being approved while others were left behind, their fates uncertain. The process was a lottery of life, a bureaucratic maze that tested their patience and resolve to the very limit. When the day finally came, they boarded planes with little more than the clothes on their backs and a handful of precious belongings. They were leaving the only world they knew for a country they had only seen in pictures, a language they didn't speak, and a culture that was entirely alien. Imagine the mix of fear and hope, leaving behind everything familiar for a promise, a whisper of a better life for their children. Arriving in the United States was a profound culture shock. The concrete jungles of cities like Minneapolis, Fresno, and Milwaukee were a stark contrast to the mountains of Laos and the bamboo huts of Ban Vinny. The climate was different, the food was strange, and the pace of life was bewildering. Simple tasks that we take for granted, like grocery shopping or using public transportation, were monumental challenges. The older generation, who were respected leaders and farmers in their homeland, suddenly found themselves dependent on their children to navigate this new world. They faced the silent struggles of feeling invisible, their skills and wisdom seemingly irrelevant in this new society. They grappled with the trauma of war and loss, often in isolation, while trying to hold their families together. The promise of America was real, but so were its challenges. Yet, the same resilience that saw them through the jungles and the refugee camps became their greatest asset in America. Hmong families pooled their resources, often with multiple families living in one household to save money and support each other. They formed mutual assistance associations, community centers that became the new heart of their culture, replicating the community spirit of Ban Vinny. They started businesses, from farming to grocery stores, bringing the flavors and traditions of their homeland to their new neighbors. They turned barren plots of land into vibrant farms, their innate agricultural knowledge blooming once more. The Hmong didn't just assimilate, they integrated, enriching the American cultural landscape with their unique traditions, their incredible food, and their powerful stories. They became an essential part of the communities they settled in. And what about the children? The generation born in the camps or in America? They became the bridge. They carried the hopes and dreams of their parents on their shoulders. They navigated two worlds, speaking English at school and Hmong at home, balancing modern American life with ancient family traditions. They excelled in education, becoming doctors, lawyers, artists, and politicians, including leaders like Sunisa Lee, an Olympic gold medalist, who brought immense pride to the community and shone a global spotlight on the Hmong American story. This new generation is ensuring that the sacrifices of their parents and grandparents were not in vain. They are the living legacy of that journey, the embodiment of their family's resilience. They are the storytellers, the historians, the artists, and the leaders who are now shaping the future. The story of the Hmong families from Ban Vinny is a powerful chapter in the American story. It's a testament to the strength of family, the importance of culture, and the incredible capacity of the human spirit to endure, adapt, and flourish against all odds. As the 1980s progressed, the process of resettlement began to offer a new, albeit daunting, path. Families faced agonizing decisions. Many would eventually leave for the United States, France, Australia, and other countries, starting their lives all over again in foreign lands, with new languages and customs. The departure was bittersweet. It was a chance for a new beginning, but it also meant leaving behind the community that had been their lifeline. The closing of Ban Vinny in the early 1990s marked the end of an era, scattering its residents across the globe. Today, the children of Ban Vinny are adults. They are doctors, teachers, artists, and leaders in their new communities around the world. The legacy of the camp lives on through them. It's a legacy not of victimhood, but of incredible strength. It's a story of how a community, faced with the unimaginable, refused to surrender its identity, its culture, and its hope for the future. The story of Ban Vinny is a vital piece of Hmong history and a powerful lesson for all of us about the endurance of the human spirit. It reminds us that home is more than just a place on a map. It's the community we build, the culture we share, and the hope we carry in our hearts. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the past. If this story resonated with you, please share it so that the legacy of Ban Vinny and the resilience of the Hmong people are never forgotten. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more stories that deserve to be told. We'll see you in the next one.